Well, when I was a young man, really in my late 20s and early 30s, and Kennedy talked about going to the moon, we really didn't realize all the developments that would occur.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
I think NASA was instrumental in establishing the United States as a superpower, especially in the 60s.
Because of my generation, I remember the days that NASA brought pride for our nation.
I think NASA has really pushed our scientific finding and technological advances, and it's also inspired our country in a lot of ways and brought us together as a nation.
I think early on, when I say early on, for me growing up in the 60s and 70s, it was really a great source of pride as far as the accomplishments that we had and basically the competition with other countries in the world. But since that time, there's been very little, I think, positive press out there that has given me that same level of pride and really kind of a lack of knowledge.
First thing I think of when I think of NASA is pride. I think they've instilled pride in America. And I'm sure there's just so much in the medical field and the scientific field that we don't even know about. Probably our everyday lives are so influenced.
I think they initially propelled the sciences, all sciences, forward with space exploration and the excitement they created in the country. And I think they do a lot of research in all kinds of scientific fields.
It's everything that's great about America: ingenuity, innovation, creativity, cutting edge, going places that no one else has gone before. So many things NASA has done for the country that people take for granted. We all should learn more about what NASA has done for us.
NASA's done a lot with regard to technology, creating things for the space program that have been used by normal people in everyday life for 30 or 40 years.
What NASA has done for America has been to basically push technology farther than any other pursuit of knowledge really has. Velcro, Teflon, you name it, NASA's probably contributed to it. So really, it's hard to name things that NASA hasn't really contributed in terms of consumer technology and many other things.
I would love to know NASA's biggest specific goal and why it is their goal, because at this point, beyond kind of the general experiments that can be done in space across scientific fields, I don't really understand their main purpose.
How do you plan on kind of re-stimulating the same amount of passion for space exploration that they had like 30 years ago? Because lately it seems like NASA's been getting kind of not a bad name or bad press or anything like that, but more like they've been kind of looked over by society. And it seems, to me, it seems weird just because, I mean, I was never alive during the big, space race or anything like that, but it sounds like it would have been a very interesting time. And like I said, when I was growing up, it seemed, NASA or just being an astronaut or anything like that seemed to kind of motivate me to want to do engineering type of work in general. And I feel like it might be getting overlooked, if that makes sense, and it might be, I think there's a lot of benefit to having a society that really believes in kind of pioneering new things, new technologies, and I think that starts with NASA. So I think it would be interesting to know how they're planning, or even if they're planning to mitigate that somehow, or re-stimulate that in the younger society.
I guess one question would be, what is NASA's main goal? Is it discovering new planets? Is it preservation of the Earth as we know it? Is it, finding other worlds out there? I would just like to know what maybe their main focus is. I know NASA does a lot, and I know it has a lot of various focuses, but I was wondering what the main objective of NASA is.
Everybody to Hawthorne, headquarters of Space Exploration Technologies. We're here to unveil Dragon version 2.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think it's a good thing because much in the same way that the airline industry was commercialized 60 or 70 years ago, I think that the commercialization of space will increase competitiveness and ultimately productivity.
I think that it's neat that anyone can have a chance to go into space.
As far as possible, no venture should be left purely to the government, because sooner or later I feel it leads to bureaucratic problems and stagnation of ideas. So.
And we have liftoff of Antares for the Orb 2 mission from the Wallops Flight Facility, delivering Cygnus on its second commercial resupply service to the International Space Station.
I mean, it's a necessity. It's kind of the next step. I think it's an important step. We're moving humanity in general to be, I guess, off-world is one way to say it. Eventually, it's going to get there. We might as well start with this. Plus, I want to go.
I think the commercialization of space will really be a good thing. It should help to push down the costs of space exploration.
I think it's helped because the government isn't always as fast as other companies.
I think the commercialization, to open it up to the private markets for healthy competition is a good thing. I think competition breeds excellence.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
I think commercialization has helped most industries, so I don't see why it wouldn't help space exploration.
There's also a lot of danger associated with that commercialization in and of itself, and I personally have concerns about it. I would not feel comfortable with it.
Makes me a little bit nervous. NASA has a long, successful history. Recently I was watching one of the launches, a commercial launch, and it didn't go so well, so it makes me very nervous about the effectiveness of commercial enterprises. NASA has this issue solved. They've done it for years and years and years. They know how to do it right. I trust NASA.
It maybe disturbs me a little bit. And I mean, the reason why I would say that is the same reason why commercialization would cause one apprehension in any way, shape, or form, which is that it's hijacking pure or noble ideas for something that is potentially less.
I'm a little concerned about private companies taking citizens up, because I think there's a huge risk factor and that needs to be regulated somehow, and probably the government needs to regulate that.
I feel the commercialization of space gives competition, which leads to new technology, but I do feel that there needs to be some governing force to keep standards high and safety up.
really have no idea how much of America's budget is appropriated. My understanding is that I guess it's shrunk since now we're, well, privatizing, but we are giving money to corporations to fund space exploration, so I'm not quite sure if that number has increased or decreased, considering what we're giving to companies like SpaceX and Boeing versus going directly to NASA. I really don't know.
I really have no idea how much of our budget is used for NASA.
I believe that if looking at it, it's a very small part of America's budget, probably less than 1%.
So I don't know how much of America's budget is appropriated to NASA at the moment. I'm familiar with the fact that it's really small, like less than 1%, 0.5%, like a few $1 billion. Compared to our defense budget, it's pretty low.
It's not very much.
About 20%.
I would think it's not much, probably less than 1%.
If I had to give it a number, I would say 4%.
15%.
With regards to how much of America's budget is appropriated to NASA, I don't know exactly. I really don't know at all, but from what I've heard, it's like half a penny on the dollar or something like that. It's a very small amount.
I would say it was less than 1%, maybe a third of 1%.
I would say 2%. I have no idea.
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's not enough. I hope it's billions and billions and 20, 30 billion, I would hope.
If I had to guess, I would probably say 0.4%.
Not enough.
No, and I won't speculate.
5 billion, 10 billion maybe.
Extraordinarily little. There was a time when NASA did get a little bit of money, and now that we've into this new era, commercialization and privatization, there's less and less government funding and less monies in terms of doing new initiatives. So, in terms of the amount of the budget, less than 1% of 1% of 1% probably.
I really have no idea.
I'm gonna guess 2%.
I really don't. I would assume that figure is minuscule in comparison to so many other things out there that are budgeted for that I think are probably worthless. So I would assume that number is far lower than what it really should be.
I'm not very sure, but I don't think it must be more than like 1%, maybe even less, like 0.5% or something.
In my opinion, NASA has opened up a whole new world for exploration and study, and sort of like the opening of the Wild West years ago.
I think NASA has helped Americans and the world to explore other places other than Earth.
So what NASA has done for America, in my opinion, has been a massive source of inspiration for small children growing up. Like they have made these seemingly impossible things, like sending humans to moon and space. They have made them possible. So I think the biggest achievement of NASA is the source of inspiration.
So that's getting kids interested in science and technology, the STEM fields, by being able to show them, hey, look, here's this cool thing that is what you could do with this type of an education.
They motivate a lot of young engineering potential.
Probably the biggest thing that I would say that NASA has done for America is issuing us a challenge, right? I mean, if you're ever going to be successful in something, then you have to have something to reach for. You have to have something, coming from a musician background, you have to have some sort of romance, right? If there's no romance, then there's no passion, there's no drive towards moving towards something. So I think that in a lot of respects, I mean, NASA can be thought of as that. It gives the scientific community something to reach for, something to pursue, and not only that, but like, I mean, what subjects are romanticized perhaps more than space is, right? I mean, it's something that's in everybody's heart and imagination to a certain extent. So it gives something that we can all relate to, rally around, and just a goal for us to work towards.
What in his wildest dreams does he think he can learn? What's his hopes for exploration, or not exploration, but learning from space?
Probably where the administrator would see us in 100 years.
When will we be able to travel to space?
What's the future programs they're targeting, so what's their future goals. And I would also like to know more about what work they do on day-to-day basis, like on daily basis, and how what we have learned in our colleges, in grad school, in the engineering school, how is it put to a practical use in designing space missions.
I guess it would be, what have you done for me lately? I guess we really don't understand what the purpose of NASA is. I mean, are we just going out to, why are we going to Mars? Are we just bringing back more rocks? I mean, help me understand what is really being done, or what are the possibilities, or how can the exploration or the information really help us here on Earth?
How much longer in the future will we have manned spacecraft going into outer space, and are the long-range goals to have people living in outer space?
Well, since you work for NASA, what's your thinking? I mean, so often we only hear what politicians think and what others think. What would you say about what the future should be in terms of NASA and its development, in terms of promoting space travel, etc., and working with other countries?
Would it be possible to sustain life on Mars?
It would probably be to ask whether or not he or she thinks we will actually colonize another planet within our lifetimes or our children's lifetimes.